hello, and this is Hello Chaos, a podcast for founders really in the thick of it. The messy middle is what we like to call it. All the questions, the pressure, the chaos no one really puts on LinkedIn. So there's no fairy tales here, just the real work of what it takes to start and build a business. Today we have on our show Ryan Schwartz. He is a personal injury attorney, providing representation for anyone who has been injured at the fault of someone else's negligence. And he's calling out of Atlanta, Georgia, our neighbors. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Appreciate you coming on. So tell us about what inspired you to go out on your own, hang your own shingle, as they say, to start your own company.
Well, years ago when I got out of college, I worked for other companies and I worked for consulting companies before I went to law school. And when I went to law school, I ultimately wanted to do something where I was helping people. And I really disliked working for other people and being on their schedules and being at their command. That did not sit well with my personality.
I think that's a lot of founders' themes that we hear of like, oh, I don't know what kind of work.
Well, certainly. And I knew I wanted to do something. And in the back of my mind, I always wanted to go to law school. And I went to law school, and really being a lawyer allows you to kind of do whatever you want. You can work for other people. You can work for firms. You can work for the government. I did that for a few years. I was a prosecutor, and it reminded me I don't like working for other people. And really, I've been on my own for 12 years. I've had my own firm, and it's great because it allows me that flexibility to kind of think outside the box and do my own thing, which I thrive at, and I found that works best for my personality.
So when you made that shift, was there any kind of aha moment or like a myth that you were like, this is not what I thought this was going to be, or was it completely like you thought?
When I went off on my own.
When you went off on your own.
There's numerous things that I never thought I'd have to deal with. I just didn't think about, whether it being promoting myself, connecting with the right people, finding the right avenues, making sure that people don't take advantage of you, whether there's all kinds of marketing schemes out there that I get called and emailed on a daily basis. I had no idea about any of that. Doing taxes, collecting money, dealing with different issues that I never thought about. But
I know. I was like,
it's all part of it.
And it's interesting, I have this company, which is a media company, Orange Whip and Hello Chaos, but I have a marketing agency. But as a founder, I was so frustrated. I felt so alone that I was like, I need to this was my way of connecting and kind of build a more connected ecosystem, because there were so many people that sat kind of outside of that bubble. But yeah, that was kind of a shock for me too, when 2013, because I came from big agencies working with big brands and corporations, kind of that enterprise level. And I didn't realize, I knew, like, we know our stuff, but it was oh gosh, I got to build the pipeline in, and I got to deal with all the operations and the crap in the back end, the IT, right, taxes, bookkeeping, how to structure. I'm like, that was and then going into the industry, I didn't recognize or realize how much snake oil marketing salespeople or marketing agencies there are that really disrupt and hurt. Because I came from traditional agencies and really smart level, marketing was revered and respected. And then you come into like the small business kind of sphere, and it is junk salesman.
Well, I look at it like for me, when I get frustrated or annoyed or just tired of dealing with these things, I always think about it could be worse. I could be a W-2 employee. I could be working for someone.
Yeah.
And
you control your freedom.
I control my freedom. And that to me is way more valuable on so many different levels than getting to an office at 9 a.m., having to deal with this boss and this issue and performance review and meeting and, working late. Like none of that worked well with me. None of it makes sense to me. When I hear people who do that and who could do what I do, I always shake my head or I roll my eyes. I'm thinking like, you don't have to do this.
Right.
People sometimes, if you're paid a lot of money and you have these benefits, they don't want to walk away from that.
Right.
And
the security. Yeah. And sometimes it's a false security, right? I mean, it's
absolutely. I mean, I don't care whether you're a lawyer, you work for a law firm, or you work for a big company, or you work for an organization. You are you are disposable.
Right.
You are expendable. They can get rid of you and you're not their problem and you need to figure out what's next. And I no longer I haven't had to worry about that for over 12 years.
Yeah.
And I love that.
So what inspired you or what motivated you to go into the personal injury side?
Certainly. Well, I started off because I was a prosecutor and I started off doing criminal like a lot of people because it's an easy way to kind of start your own firm. That's kind of like, it's a lower level of law. You're not working at some corporation,
right.
And you're not doing like mergers and acquisitions. And doing that, you really learn when you're defending people, whether it's a traffic ticket or DUI or misdemeanor or felony, whatever it is, you really see the other side of the world and you become a judge of character of people and you learn how to understand people and you're in the business of helping people and you're in the business of understanding people.
Yeah.
And when you learn that and over again, and you kind of realize this is what it takes and you enjoy helping people, well, people will reach out to you. Hey, I was in a car accident also, or my friend was in a car accident. And then you take those cases and you slowly build that up and then you kind of learn what you're doing. You make mistakes. And I went many years without taking a car accident case, even though I was getting referred those, I was just sending them out to someone else. And at some point it starts picking up and you realize, well, you can't do high level injury work and criminal without help. And so then I started getting a paralegal and my injury practice started growing. And growing, and I started backing out of criminal, and then I added a second paralegal, and now I'm pretty much, I would say 95% personal injury, and it allows me to help people, and I don't have to deal with 98% of the, we'll use the word mishigas, the problems that one has to deal with when you work for someone and or when you run around these courthouses doing criminal. It allows me immense flexibility, much more so than when I was just doing criminal. So that's kind of, how it evolved.
Interesting. So what's the most rewarding part?
Well, I love thinking outside the box and helping people. The core of what I do is I help people for a living. I'm in a position to help and I take that responsibility really seriously. And so I'm really proud that I built my own firm. That's rewarding to me and that I can provide for my family and pay my bills and do what I need to do. And at the same time, also help people. And I think that's very rewarding. I'm not, making money and by working for a corporation or because, solved a problem for their client where I'm not getting any credit. I'm getting the credit and my team's getting the credit. And I love that. I love that people say, thank you so much. You really helped me. This really helped. I got better. I love that.
And you said you've expanded your team. How have you, we always say founders, we have a hard time delegating. What was was it just because you were overwhelmed or you're like, how do I multiply me? What was the art of you being able to delegate efficiently?
Well, that is an ongoing thing with me where I'm still learning. And for years when I just did criminal, if you're doing just criminal, and I don't care what anyone says, and you'll get 9 out of 10 people that disagree with me, you don't need help. You can do all your own filings electronically. You show up to court. They are hiring you. They're not hiring your team to go to court. They're hiring you. So you should be able to handle those things. When you do injury work, there's a lot of moving parts. You have to deal with the insurance company. You have to put medical providers on notice. You have to put health insurance on notice. You have to help make appointments with doctors. And I couldn't do all that. And what happened was I started building my caseload. And it grew very gradually and then rapidly where I just couldn't function. I couldn't do basic things that I can do. And someone said, you are not going to grow unless you have help. And that's when I took the plunge and I was very nervous about it. I brought in someone. I worked with them for a while and I realized that they weren't actually the right person to take me to the future. Yeah. And I got someone else. And then that person was the right person. And then they recommended someone else who was leaving a firm. And I thought, well, these people are good for what I need and they're going to help me grow my practice. And that is a skill set, delegating responsibilities. Yeah. But the good thing is I know how to do all those responsibilities. So if they're out sick for the day or something happened and they tell me, hey, can you do A, B, and C? I know how to do those things because I've done them.
Right.
And so it's something if you get people that you trust and know and you treat them well and they know what they're doing, then I think that that's a winning combination. And I think it's most important you treat people the way you'd want to be treated, whether it's your people that work for you or the clients, because that's kind of the secret sauce. And I learned that, when I was in high school and college and I had these different jobs, no one was giving me a safety net. I was a waiter. I worked in a food store. I did a bunch of lower level stuff where I learned it's customer service. It's not,
That's right.
If you treat people, you're arrogant and you treat people like you're the know-it-all, or you're this, you're showing them this image that's not really you, that people will see that.
Right.
And I think treating people well and doing right by people, that goes a long way. And I learned those skills when I was younger. A lot of lawyers who do this type of work, they don't have that skill. They just don't realize they don't have that skill.
Right.
I do. And so I think that allows me to kind of delegate and recognize, like, these are people too. You can't survive without them.
Right.
You need to treat them well. So, that's how I've evolved with that thinking.
So besides skill set, have you kind of narrowed down, these are the type of people that I want to build around me?
Well, it's people that understand the industry, understand the workload, and understand talking to clients and dealing with providers and having a good attitude and having, good communication with all of these different folks, but also with me and, talking to me, hey, Ryan, hey, you need to do ABC.
Right.
Okay, I'll do it. And they kind of we work together on some of those things.
Right.
And just someone who knows how to work well with others.
Yeah. So you've been in this for 12 years. What's been the most challenging? Where have you hit that, oh shit, like that wall and was like, I got to do something? Well,
there's different things. It's sometimes dealing with recognizing when you're interacting with a potential client who is not all there. And this person might create some issues for you.
The red
and
flags.
So that's kind of a big one.
Right, yeah,
and sometimes I'm like, this is something I don't want to get, I don't want to get involved in, or this is someone who's going to create problems for me. And I've gotten really good early on. You take whatever, especially when it's a criminal, you take whatever comes in the door and they can't pay you right away. Okay, I'll work on a payment plan.
Right.
You do injury, but you can tell someone's going to be a problem. You'll take it because you need all the work you can get. You need money coming in. You need to create those opportunities. Now I've gotten really good at recognizing when, okay, this is not something I want to be part of, and I can quickly walk away from that before it even starts. So that's been, that's always a challenge for every lawyer.
I know. I think it's a challenge for any service-based business. I mean, we've had to go through that with our evolution of, there were clients, first 3 years, it's like, just take whatever you can get. Just get it in. And then we kind of did the analysis and went, these are unhealthy relationships, or we're upside down in our scopes. And and then we had to learn some of the red flags. We're learning new red flags as, business is the uncertainty and mindset shifts. And so we've got, everyone looks good on paper, but it's like, how do we start looking at the behavior of people are they going to be, can we help them succeed? And will they be open to hearing advice?
Well, and I think for me, when I get frustrated or it's just, I can't take this, I always think back, it could be worse. I could be working for someone else. Right. And that usually gets me over my hump. And I think, okay, let me try something new with this client or this situation, because this is my livelihood. This is my business. I have to find a way to make it work. I don't want to have a bad relationship, or I don't have a bad reputation out there. So I find a way. I'll personally call them back, or I'll deal with it a certain way, because I always think every single day of my life, I think, thank God I don't have a supervisor or a boss or work for someone who's telling, and that 100% gets me through the problem.
Do your paralegals have you taught them a mantra of how to deal with difficult people or build the connections of?
Well, they know, because
you're like, it could be worse.
These people are paralegals who worked at these big Atlanta law firms.
So they like they like working.
Well, they realize that they were treated like crap. They were, these big firms, and I won't name any, but they're always on a billboard. And these are folks who are their marketing gimmicks. They're not sitting there meeting with the client. And there's 100 of these paralegals sitting around, and they're treated like crap, and they're talked down to, and they're passive. The lawyer on the billboard treats them poorly. And when these particular people found me, current ones I have, they're like, wait, you're like going to allow me to take a day off? You're going to allow me to work from it? Well, yeah, you do what you have to do.
Right.
Just get the stuff done. And they have complete flexibility. Sometimes they may go out to lunch, or they may have to go get their kids or do whatever, but they're getting the work done and they're producing the product that we need. And they appreciate it. And I'm so floored. Like, wait, that's a foreign concept to you, that I'm allowing you to have lunch or vacation days whenever you want. And I mean,
life happens. You just deal with life. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have one paralegal who told me recently that, again, big billboard lawyer in Atlanta, when she worked, she had to have a camera on her computer facing her, and someone was watching her at all times. And when she wasn't working, or she had to go to the restroom or get some water, she stood up. It was noted, and she wasn't paid for that 3 minutes or something crazy like that. And I just thought, that's crazy.
Surveillance at an abusive way. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I just couldn't. And there's another paralegal that people that I talk to, and I've talked to different people who they're responsible for bringing in cases to the lawyer. And if they don't, they're not going to get a bonus. Crazy things. Or I've heard, there's other people who they're responsible for, marketing people who are responsible for staking out the hospitals and making sure doctors and nurses are paid under the table and taken care of so they get cases. I mean, these are all crazy things that I wouldn't know part of. I'm not part of. I'm not part of this.
That's not the game I'm playing. Right.
I'm not part of the industry game. So, I'm not at the like these clubs and the parties and the swanky dinner. I could care less. I'd rather be home with my family and my children and all of that. The reason why lawyers get a bad name, or the industry gets a bad name, is you have people running around, whether it's Chicago, New York, Atlanta, wherever it is. You have people that are like this. These people who are, they're making tons of money, but they're doing things that I think are so unethical and I would never do. And I'm just not part of that world.
That's why I feel like the marketing industry a little bit too, because I think lawyers have had that kind of persona, maybe a little bit, but I feel like over the last, Chandler's going, over the last 5 years in our industry, it's gotten much worse. And now you walk in, you're like, you're a marketer. Oh, great. What are you going to sell me? And I'm like, nothing.
Right.
We're not for everybody.
Right.
So, and with that being said, like, I'm surprised that the consumer, I feel like as we see that through that lens, that would be a turnoff from, like, I don't know, I would go that route to hire somebody like that. Like, I would seek out somebody like you. Is that not happening? Or?
Well, it's the same concept of, you drive past a billboard, right? A huge billboard of Coca-Cola. We know soda's bad for us. We know caffeine is not good for us, but you don't care about what's in the product. You don't care about all the sugar and the bad stuff.
Right.
You are drawn to that billboard. You're on your way to the grocery. You're going to buy Coke. You're going to buy Coca-Cola.
Or you're going to buy those.
And it's the same concept. You get these big billboards who, national firms or big firms, and they have this big, clever billboard, and the average person out there sees that and they don't know any better. And they're like, wow, that person it says on their billboard, they've collected over $1 billion last year. Well, that's a misleading statement, because they didn't really collect $1 billion. They might have been part of a team that was on, multiple cases where there's 10 lawyers, and they were part of that.
Right.
But you're seeing something in the average person. And I'm not talking about maybe an intelligent person or someone who's savvy. The average everyday Joe Schmo sees that billboard, doesn't know anything. They call that, law firm. If they injure case, they'll never meet with the lawyer. They're dealing just with the paralegal solely. And then that lawyer's taking their pre-suit 40%, which is not right. That should be usually a third. And then the person leaves. Okay, well, I got my $8,000. When their case may have been worth a lot more. Maybe they should be getting $20,000, $30,000, not $8,000. But the average person doesn't.
They're like, I got something out of it.
Yeah, and we all fall victim. That's how there's good marketing, because me included, I will sometimes. I drink a soda, or I drink, the McDonald's hamburger because it looked good on the billboard. You're thinking,
it's consistency.
Good marketing.
It's like, where can I go?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But what a lot of these big people are doing, these billboard lawyers, what most people don't understand is they're not even paying for those billboards. Again, they're being funded by doctors, marketing firms, different people, different organizations are actually paying for that billboard. the lawyer, there's a whole underground system where they're paying the emergency room doctor to send them the cases, which is a bar violation, or they're using different channels to have someone pay for their cars, their billboards, all of their parties that they're throwing. And it's a whole underground game. And I think that's despicable, because when you have a law degree, you're given a license to help people, to practice law. And I take that very seriously. And with all the responsibilities with my practice and in my personal life, I don't want to play that dirty game. And I choose, I don't do billboards. I have different, I have a company that does some videos for me on Instagram and different social media outlets. And a lot of times they include me, but I'm not doing anything. I don't court people. I don't pay people.
You're like, I'm not playing that game.
I don't play that game.
I'm not doing an 888 jingle.
Nope. I don't do any of that. I don't want to get involved in that. I think it cheapens it's like if you need heart surgery, you're not going to
the guy that has like the biggest bow tie on the billboard.
That's why I take referrals, and I have all these previous clients I've represented, and so many people know me that I get referrals from previous clients, from colleagues, from different people in my community. I've never once gotten a case, not once, gotten a case from some unethical method that I'm like, this isn't right. Not once.
Not doing an upside down billboard, like, I'll get you right side up. That's one that runs around here a lot.
I've seen them all. And listen, those people have tons of money. I mean, great for them.
Yeah.
But they also probably have a lot of things weighing on their conscience that I don't have to worry about.
Yeah. That's true. Because I was going to say, what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? Making sure that my wife, my daughters are taken care of, and that I can provide from them, and that I'm doing right by my family, and that I'm making sure that my paralegals are paid, things like that. The things that are the right things to worry about.
Right. So you seem to be like a very disciplined person of, having kind of the mantra in your head of like, it could be worse. Or I have, the one of like, this too shall pass. Are there other routines or disciplines that you've kind of put in to help you run the business, stay focused, stay on top of things, or stay positive? Like what do you do?
Well, we have like a lot of lawyers, we have a case management system. So when like a new case comes in, we kind of have a routine where, we bring in the case, and I'll do intake, and then my paralegal will get a letter of representation out to the insurance company. So it's like it's a well-oiled machine. Like they know what they need to do. And with the business, that kind of, it's almost like self-running. Like I don't have to worry that they're going to get a letter of representation out. Like they know what to do.
Right.
Okay. I mean, in my personal life, I enjoy things that kind of help me through my life are the things that I've enjoyed since I was younger, and I've never changed that. And I kind of a creature of that routine. I swim multiple times a week. Music is an immensely important part of my life. I listen to music. I go to concerts. Spending time with my family. I love history, and I love reading about history, and I love watching documentaries about history, and I love understanding and analyzing people that came before me and historical events, and just I'm fueled by that. I can't get enough of it.
I'd rather be right. Yeah.
What's that?
Lessons learned. You gotta.
I get way more out of listening to music and reading a biography than I ever would sitting watching a Saturday morning college football game. Like I would literally rather be at a farmer's market. Or just interacting with people, and kind of people like me at a farmer's market. Other people, they're selling a business, they're selling a product, and I love meeting different people and seeing their point of view, kind of understanding their story. Yeah. So I love that.
Who's your biggest cheerleader?
Oh boy, I guess. Well, she's not sitting there, cheerleading me every day. It's probably my wife. I mean, she helped support me through law school and encouraged me, and made sure she was there for me when I was studying for the bar, and when I had this idea to go off on my own, and when I need to go meet a client or handle a crazy situation with a client, she's always like, "Go, we'll figure it out. I got the kids." So I would say it would probably be my wife.
Yeah. Is there, when you started your business, we talked about kind of the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Were there resources or that you reached out to? Or there, did you have advisors, mentors of like, hey, Ryan, this is what you need to do to set your business up, or these are the places you need to go to help? Or did you kind of go, like we hear from a lot of people, I'm going to wing it?
it was a lot of winging. It was a lot. There was no one person. There wasn't even like five people that kind of like had my back. It was, I, I, I wanted to go off my own. I had to go off my own. And I remember reaching out to a couple other prosecutors who I knew, who I'd worked with, who'd done that. Hey, what bank did you use for your trust account? Oh, I use this bank. Do I need to, what do I need to have my website? Like just basic stuff. And it just slowly started building. And I would, reach out to different lawyers. Hey, I'm starting my own thing. If you have any cases you don't work or overflow work, please send them my way. And I remember one of my first things was a fellow lawyer who was my age, who had been doing it probably 3-4 years longer than I had. He's like, hey, do you want to drive out to Milledgeville, Georgia? Which is,
I know exactly where that is.
You know where that is. And he said, I need you to go meet with this client and just interview them and find out what's going on. They were arrested. I said, that's all I need to do? And he said, yeah. And I'm going to pay you X amount. I'm thinking, wow, that is a lot of money.
Right.
What time do you need me leaving? And I took a notepad and did what I had to do. And then he sent me the money. And that was my first case. And then that person who I met told his mom. And then his mom's like, my sister actually got a traffic ticket. Can you help me with this traffic ticket? Sure. And it was like, there were like these little spider webs that developed everywhere where, people would tell other people and tell other people and tell other people. Or I would speak at different like fraternity sorority events at Georgia about, I have like a DUI presentation or about what to do if you got stopped by police. And then, it helped me kind of practice speaking. You run into a lawyer at a courthouse. Hey, how did you do this? And one of the best pieces of advice is from a really big criminal defense lawyer in Atlanta. He said, just give out your business card to everyone you interact with, whether it's the gas station attendant, a waitress, someone that helps you in a clothing store. And believe it or not, like I don't do that as much as I should, but I've done it a lot. And you'd be surprised the calls you get. And I get calls from people. The spider web goes so far down the line on so many different tangents that, there's people that are like, hey, my brother used someone named Ryan Schwartz. He was such a good guy. You need to call him. And from that, I've gotten big injury cases. And like, I knew someone who, and once parked at a Braves game. I parked in a parking lot. And I remember the guy who was the attendant at the lot, I gave him my card. And a week later, I get a call from one of his employees who was in a head-on collision. Car accident. I mean, these are like the crazy stories. I mean, I've represented CEOs. I've represented garbage collectors. I've represented professional athletes, professional actors. I've represented people in my neighborhood. I've represented, you name it. I've represented them. And then, there's different social media groups. My wife will post about me. My mother-in-law tells people when she goes to volunteer at the senior center about me. I had a story once where recently, my mother-in-law said, hey, do you know so-and-so? And I said, yeah, how do you know them? And this person was a prosecutor, like well-known prosecutor. I'm like, how do you know? Well, they sometimes volunteer at the center. And the prosecutor who I've been before so many times in one of our local cities who does traffic tickets said something nice about me to a fellow lawyer. And that lawyer sent me 2 cases. Like weird conversations will turn into someone thinking something nice about me and sending me a case. And I think it goes back to you treat people the way you'd want to be treated. Be kind to everyone, try to be nice, be friendly,
build
be courteous.
Your personal brand. Yeah.
And that is my brand. That's what I'm selling. I'm selling you someone who's genuine. I'm not selling you this crazy, obnoxious image because it's not me. That's not me, who I am.
Right. If you hit rewind, would you do anything differently?
Maybe I'd go into marketing. There's always things I would do differently. If I had to go back, hindsight is 2020, right? But maybe I wouldn't have. I worked in some consulting firms out of college because I thought that was a good thing for me. Maybe I wouldn't have done that. Maybe I would have done another internship at a personal injury firm in law school. I had opportunities, but out of college, I created opportunities for myself to potentially move out to Los Angeles and do some marketing or do something where I thought where all the action was, which was the entertainment industry. Maybe I would have pursued that more if I could have. I don't know. I'm glad I didn't now because I'm not. I see what a phony world that is.
Yeah.
And that wasn't me. So
yeah, that would have been. You would have been like, I'm out of here.
Right.
Well, If you summed up your journey in one word, what word would you use?
Tenacity, or I would say tenacity or genuine, being genuine.
Being genuine. That's a good one. I like that. And then if you look ahead to the next chapter, what word do you want to define that chapter?
That's a good one. I would use the same word, being genuine. Stick with what works.
Yeah. Consistency builds trust. That's what we say. Yeah. And brands and people.
And your reputation is everything. And there are people in this town, as there are in every market, that they have a reputation for being, difficult or so-and-so. I never want people to just talk about me in a bad light. Certainly I can't control how people think of me, but I can control how I act and how I'm perceived. And I think just being genuine and trying to be a good person and helping people takes you further.
Absolutely. I'm curious is there something that our listeners would be really surprised to learn about you that's not on your LinkedIn or in your resume or anything?
I think people, meet me and they assume like I'm going to be some, I guess, egotistical, obnoxious lawyer. And when they meet me and they see when they come to my office and they meet me, they see all my
you're like a real person.
I'm a real person. Like I got cool artwork, music artwork on my walls, and I got, different what we call tchotchkes, things on my desk, and people are like looking around and they're like, wow, this guy's just a regular guy.
Right.
And that's what I am. So I think people sometimes when they first meet me, they think I'm like this typical guy,
like the lawyer image we have in our head.
Yeah. And I'm not. And I've had that told me so many times from clients. They're like, you're not what I thought. You're not the typical lawyer, or I'm not even the typical guy. Like I'm not sitting there drinking beer every night, watching sports. And I just don't care. I think I'd rather listen to a good Miles Davis album, watch a good documentary on the Civil War, be with my kids and watching them do something that makes them happy. Those are the things that matter to me and that will always matter to me. And I think I stick by that. I don't deviate to things that don't matter.
Ryan's the one that you go to the farmer's market with.
There you go. I love a good
museum. Go. That's who Ryan is.
That's exactly who I am.
How many? Now you said you had two kids.
I have two daughters.
Two daughters. What are their ages?
I have a 12-year-old going on 16
or 30. That's how.
I have a 30. She's teetering on teenage years, and then I have a 9-year-old.
Nice. Yeah. My youngest is 14 daughter, and when she turned 9 or 10, it became, oh my God, how old are you? Like you're
right.
She's like trying to be a 40-year-old person giving advice. So she's pretty.
And I always teach them, the big piece of advice that I teach my kids is always try. Never let anyone tell you can't do something.
That's right.
And always help people in need. Those are like just important things I try to impart onto my kids, no matter what they're doing.
That's good. That is good advice. Speaking of advice, so you said that you started out and you were, asking other people advice, other lawyers that had done it. What advice that they gave you that really stuck with you? That's my first question. Yeah.
I had a judge tell me once. I went out to lunch with him, and he brought his father, who was a well-known lawyer, and he was retired and older, and he had been actually a Holocaust survivor. And they took me out to lunch, and he's like, it's okay if I brought my father? And I'm like, I mean, of course, like, what an honor to have him. It didn't say anything the whole lunch. And he said to me at the end of lunch, the only thing he said, he's like, whatever you do, just always be a good person. Do right by people. Yeah. So that is just something that I'm not perfect, but I try to keep that in the back of my mind. When you interact with different lawyers, you hear about all this craziness that these people are doing. And I'm like, let them do what they want. No, they're not paying my bills.
Right.
So I tend to stick with, there's so much hatred and craziness in the world right now and conflict. I feel like if you just be a good person, even in your personal life, it has nothing to do with being a lawyer.
Right.
You treat people the way, and I use this quote on a lot of different podcasts and different forums, but it's my favorite quote, and I use it all the time. It's by Maya Angelou, and it's, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they won't forget how you made them feel.
That's right.
And I think that's really important to kind of leave that, because people remember when people remember how you treated them. They might not remember every little thing you said,
Right.
but I think that feeling that people have about you, that's really important to leave them with a positive feeling.
Right. I agree 100%. So if we met a year from now, Ryan, I come over, to Atlanta and we go and celebrate something. What's a win that we're celebrating next year?
That I just kept doing good work and that I was able to help more people and that my reputation preceded me. My goal is not to grow this to 10 more paralegals and, have 10 billboards all of a sudden. It's just to keep doing work and having people look at me in a good light and think of me in that way in their time of need. So that's really, I want to be able to continue to provide for my family and make sure they have the things that they need and the experiences that they want to have in their lives. And so that's what would be something for me to celebrate.
All right. Wow. I'm manifesting it, putting it out there. I appreciate you coming on. This has been fantastic. And
thank you.
I love learning more about you. And I'm glad our listeners did too. But before we go, where can people get a hold of you to connect with you, learn more about you?
Well, my website is schwartztriallaw.com. I'm on Instagram. My business page is the handle Schwartz Trial Law. And my direct phone number, it comes directly to me. It's 678-4-CALL.
Perfect. Love it. And that's a wrap on today's chaos. But the work doesn't stop here. If this episode felt familiar and fun, you're not alone. Subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really does help founders find their way through a lot of the noise, a lot of the clutter out there, getting the real stories across the spectrum. And if you're really craving clarity and not more chaos, our sponsor, Bright Marketing, offers a founder clarity sprint that's designed to help you get unstuck, focused, and moving forward with confidence. You can explore that and more founders tools and episodes over at Orange WIP. That's orangewip.com. And that is WIP for work in progress, because that's what we all are. Or shoot an email to hello@orangewip.com. Until next time, stay curious and stay scrappy. And I'll see you again next week.